All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Carlos Munoz with my homeboy over here, Jared Campbell. On day three for Veterans for Cannabis. We want to expand a little more as we started talking about benefits, as we started talking about our journey through the entire cannabis, you know, thing. I figure, okay, let's talk a little bit more about the benefits, about the medical. And thanks to the internet, I did pull a really nice website over here with the Michigan Sports and Spine Center. And I figure we can talk a little bit about this stuff over here, medical cannabis, and how it's used and what kind of research they have to it. Jared Campbell, I know you are a big beneficiary of medical cannabis.
Oh, big time. The the cannabis industry has come a long way. It's not just about like we say about getting high, but getting your body right. It's about health. The cannabis has come a long way where there's oils, there's topicals, there's I've seen now where they're probably gonna they what was it on the other day I was looking. And for people who have problems with breathing, whether it's COPD,
Hmm.
asthma, they're trying to create CBD that's like kind of like a butyrol that you would put into a nebulizer, but instead of being a butyrol, it's cannabis, and they're showing a lot of benefits to help, and so it's more of a natural way, and it is showing improvements to open up people's breathing. So the cannabis industry is really coming a long way, and I've experimented with a lot of this stuff. So,
To me, one of the big things, and I highlighted it right here. One of my big things for me is chronic pain and intestinal issues. Like I do a lot of vomiting, and I have a lot of diarrhea, and I cannot eat. And I highlighted this because, again, it's something. This is me. I use cannabis, for those chronic pains and that nausea. And even though I do not have cancer, or at least that I know of, it is something that I gotta say has benefit. Helped me a lot. Um, have you seen how medical cannabis can come around? How those companies right here. Um, I go ahead.
oh no, go ahead. Sorry, I was listening.
You know, and it's I say all depends of the people. Like I personally enjoy smoking cannabis. Jared, what's your preference?
My preference is
Mhm.
well, when I first started using cannabis, I started out vaping, and so I started out vaping, and then I realized that the vape itself just
Mhm.
it wasn't as good as I thought it was, and
Right.
so I started having more. I would say I feel like it was making some of my upper respiratory problems worse. But I know this may sound funny to some of you out there, but when I started smoking cannabis, the flower, my upper respiratory problems improved. And you probably people would say, well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And for some people, it may sound crazy. For some of
Mhm.
you listening, it may sound crazy. And I'm not saying that taking smoke in your lungs is good. I'm not saying that, but I want to share my experience that I have actually improved and my upper respiratory by smoking the flower. And but I don't smoke like a lot, like a great deal. I kind of like it more in the evening than I do any time out during the
Mhm.
day. But during the day, I focus on a lot of like the CBD. Um, I like I was talking about the last time I was talking about RSO and the full extract cannabis oil. And because I like those because they can be higher in CBD, especially the full extract cannabis oil. So my preference is a lot of those oils during the day. And I've noticed a lot of improvement, anxiety, pain. It helps with the inflammation, especially the morning inflammation. And it takes the oil probably an hour or so when you start, it takes about an hour or so when you start feeling it kick in. But for me, the inflammation, it helps with a lot of the inflammation I have in my knees, my back, my elbows. So my preference is mainly I would say full extract cannabis oil is more of my preference over the RSO, because RSOs tends to be higher in THC. So,
Okay.
but yeah, smoking definitely for me in the evenings, big plus.
You know, and I speak on this to a lot of people that I speak, that I approach and they ask me, how do you do it? How do you use it? And I tell a lot of people, it is very clear I like to smoke, okay? But it is not about the smoking, it's more about the ritual, about when I was in the army, when we were in the army, every morning you knew you were gonna go do some kind of physical fitness, right? So you woke up with the expectations, you have your routine while going to PT, physical fitness, right? Now that I'm older, I think that ritual became very important to me and I have adapted. For example, in the morning I drink my coffee and I smoke my cannabis. And it is how I start my day. Um, and although, I do not look, I'm not going to pretend smoking is not going to damage your lungs. It is what it is, okay? But in comparison to some of the things that I was taking, I'd rather take the smoke over a lot of narcotics, right? So that is my choice. Although I'm advocating that for me and it works for me, doesn't mean it works for you. But some other ways, man, to consume cannabis, and it's over here highlighted. Oil. You said oil is a big thing, right?
Mhm.
Do you use the dropper or how do you consume it?
Well, it's interesting because you can use it in multiple ways. You can, like, sometimes I like to put it on a cracker
Oh,
and eat it on a cracker. It's really good. I'll sometimes take it with melatonin at night if I want to have some extra
mhm,
sleep. I'll put it on top of my melatonin gummies, and
okay.
it actually improves the taste of that melatonin gummy too by putting a little bit of the oil on it. And
Mm,
you can also use it as a topical. You can take it and rub it in
mhm.
on your skin if you have a rash or something on it, and use it as a topical. It helps too, and of course it'll absorb into your. If you
The
use it as
skin, yeah,
topical, you'll absorb it. Yeah,
yeah,
it'll take an hour or so. You'll feel the effects. So you
okay.
can do it that way too. You don't have to eat it either. You can,
Mhm,
like I said, use it as a topical. It'll still work the same way. You don't even have to have anything wrong with it. You can just kind of put it on top and rub it in. Use it as a topical. But I prefer to, for me, prefer to ingest it because I
okay.
have a lot of stomach problems, and I've done a lot of research where RSO and the full extract cannabis oil can help
Mhm,
with, like I think I was saying last week. It's been research shows they can help if you have a lot of gastro problems. Because I was talking last week how as we get older, our gut naturally slows. Right?
mhm.
This is why a lot of us put on weight. We get older, our metabolism slows, we get what's called slow gut. And so the cannabis extract oil and RSO has been known to help speed up your metabolism and help in that regard. So it's something good to take every day if you're having gastro problems. But it's always good to consult with your doctor. Always, always consult with your doctor. It was one of the things I did long before, was consult with my doctor before I did anything. So I always like to home in on that. Always, please. You're a veteran out there. Always consult with your doctor. Just don't
And I
take
love
it.
that. I love that you say that. That
Yeah.
is a great point because I've been very, very open to with my doctors about this.
Mhm.
And what was surprising to me is how open-minded a lot of these doctors are to cannabis.
Well,
You know,
I noticed that when I had my colonoscopy and before my procedure,
mhm,
they asked the questions of things you use, if you use anything the
mhm,
night before, and I was telling the doctor, I haven't used cannabis before this procedure, but I wanted you to know that I use RSO,
mhm.
full extract cannabis oil, and I also smoke cannabis. And I said, I just wanted you to know that in case there's any problems. And the doctor kind of looked at me and smiled, and he says, "You're probably one of the most honest people I've ever met, because most people wouldn't even admit to that."
Yeah.
And so, and I told him, "Well, I said I'm very open with my cannabis use," and I said,
Right.
I don't want to be ashamed that I use it, but I said, you being a doctor, you should be aware that I do use cannabis, and I told him more people should be open about
Hmm.
it if you are using it, because you don't want to go under or into a procedure
Hmm.
because you want them to know in case you did use it before, because there's no problems, because it can't cause problems if you have
Yeah.
THC and you go under. Yeah, you can have complications, so it's always good to know those things. So yeah,
Right. No, and I agree with you 100%. Like I said, I am very open with my doctor. In fact, a few years ago, I had high blood pressure or, borderline high blood pressure. And that was one of the concerns that, they were talking to me about. And this is before I started using cannabis. And since I started using cannabis, the concern is that my blood pressure is too low. I literally have baby blood pressure. And they go like, well, this is logo like, well, you should have seen it before. But anyways, but going back to a doctor, that's a very interesting fact. And what I've seen, both my VA doctor, because I'm a retiree, so I got TRICARE for outside. Do you have the same, Jared?
I'm medically retired. Um, in 2008, at the end of 2008, I medically retired from the U.S. Army from
Hmm.
a back injury and from PTSD,
Hmm.
and so I have TRICARE. So I
Okay.
my benefits are like a retiree. I don't know like how
Mhm.
much different they are, but I have the blue ID card. That says
Yeah.
retired, but it's I didn't do the 20
It,
years, but
it's the same thing. I
yeah,
didn't do it 20 years later. I actually got retired at 18. So I'm with you 100%.
yeah.
But retiree is a retiree, I guess, right? Um, but I tell my doctor in the VA and my um, professional doctor about it, and they both are like, on for it, and I'm again, I'm very routine alike. I got the same routine, and that's something that that they promote, not promote, but they encourage me and to keep a journal on it. Do you keep a journal for you?
Oh, I used to. That's
Hmm.
probably something I haven't done in a while, but no, when I first started, I used to keep a journal. I've gotten kind of, I think, lazy about that over
Right.
the years. Yeah. When I started using in 2019 with cannabis, I was keeping a journal for a while, but that's a good thing to keep a journal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I want to see, a couple of bullets here. You got because like I said, I was diabetic. Okay, or I am diabetic, but my blood sugar went from a 7.9, almost a 8. Actually, it was over 8. Excuse me, to a 6.7. You know, and again, it could reduce, anti-diabetic. It could reduce your blood sugar. Are you diabetic, Jared?
No, I'm pre-diabetic,
Are you
so pre.
pre-diabetic? The inflammation part is real big for me. Both with my stomach and my joints. And I know, Jared, I mean, we have back issues, right? What kind of back injuries did you get?
Mine was the lower back. I
Lower
got
back?
surgery back in 2010, a few years
Hmm.
after I was out of the military, and they had to do a disc decompression of my lower back.
Okay,
It was a pretty good surgery,
okay.
and I've had problems though ever since. And what I've noticed with cannabis, and and it was actually a few weeks ago, my back flared up, but I
Mm,
noticed that the flare ups don't last as long using
yes,
cannabis.
you're
Have you
100%
noticed the
right.
same thing too? They
I
don't last as
noticed
long.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to have, and I still have so for me, it's like my neck. I already had neck surgery. And my lower back is not great, any better, but my neck was destroyed. Um, and I agree with you 100%. The flare-ups do not last as long at all as they used to be. I do have nasty flare-ups that require me going to the ER and maybe getting a shot,
Yep.
but that is, you know, 3 times a year maybe. in comparison to um, a monthly thing, back in the day, before I started using cannabis.
Yeah, I've noticed that with fibromyalgia flare-ups, that my
Mhm,
fibro flare-ups are not as bad. It's more manageable with cannabis,
mhm.
and so I have a better quality of life with cannabis. It's
Yeah.
when I get a flare-up, I know that my quality of life is better with the cannabis than without it. It's without it, my flare-ups can last longer. I mean, and be more. I there's days I get to where I almost have to use a walking cane. That's how
Yes.
bad I hurt.
Mhm,
But with the cannabis, like you were saying, it helps with that inflammation,
mhm.
and so the cannabis keeps me off that walking cane. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things that is it's like, yeah, if I stop using cannabis, then next thing for me is the walking cane, and I don't want the walking
Mhm.
cane.
No, I totally get it, man.
Not yet,
You-
anyways. I'm gonna get older,
yeah,
but
I'm gonna get a four wheeler for my little freaking wheelchair. Electrical wheelchair is gonna be a four wheeler made by Harley. I'm messing with you. Um, but another thing I have seen, man, is both glaucoma and seizures, epilepsy. And maybe this is something I would like to tackle down the road, and share documentaries about little, kids with brain cancer or seizures who have a better life quality because of oils, like you said, cannabis oil. And this being, I just thought it was brain disease. I personally suffer from Crohn's disease, you know, and like I was telling you earlier today, I mean, this past weekend, I was just in the hospital on the ER with my gallbladder I mean, they gave me morphine on Friday, right?
Mhm.
Um, and again, these flare ups, I haven't had a flare up in 2 years, you know,
Yep.
and yeah, so it is a big, to me, is lifesaver. I'm not gonna lie, And
Yeah.
then PTSD is going to be, PTSD, depression, and anxiety, which is something that I deal with quite often, you know, especially drive. Jerry, where were you deployed? Iraq or Afghanistan or
I was
both?
only deployed to Iraq. I
Okay,
did. I
Iraq.
did. Yeah, one tour in Iraq. Yeah, I was.
Now, I'm going. Let me ask you about this, man. What years were you in Iraq?
Oh, I went. It was from '04 to '05. So
Oh, that was a good year.
yeah,
That
it
was a
was a
good.
good time.
Yeah, that was a good.
Hey,
That was the Wild West,
one was enough. One was enough.
man. I was there from '03 to '04, '05 to '06, and then I went back in '09. Yeah, but the '03 to about '06, I consider that to be the Wild West
Mhm.
in cars. Okay, and I say that in cars
You
because you go to where were you stationed in Iraq?
say that again.
Where were you stationed at?
Oh, we started out in Scania. Yeah, I
Okay,
don't know if you can try to know what I'm talking about. That's where we
yeah,
started out. Yeah.
yeah. So we were in Iraq, in Baghdad. That's where Baghdad, Mamadiya, the Triangle of Death kind of area.
Hmm.
But every time I left the doggone wire and I went into town, the car horns, the honking, you know what I'm talking about? That developed the worst anxiety for me. So now when I go to town, because I live in the country, I live far from everything. I go to the city and have people honking. That does a thing to me. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm. I know
Yeah,
exactly what you mean. Yes. Yes.
yeah. So, um, but yeah, again, this is another thing that I pull in, pros and cons when it comes to marijuana. A few things, I do want to speak on some of the cons as well. Maybe another 5 minutes to not go overtime for people who want to listen. But the nausea part, it will help you regain appetite. you know, and helps if HIV patient with regain appetite. But I'm specifically talking with nausea for me. Um, to me, it gives me the ability to get to want to eat. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Not like the munchies, because I don't feel like I get the munchies, but I do get hungry, right? Um, let me see. You know, mild relief pain. I'm not gonna compare weed to a Percocet. I'm just not gonna do that, right? But the one thing that weed does to me, that Percocets, let me first a statement. One thing that Percocets do to me, it masks my pain. So in theory, I could be walking on a broken leg, not feeling the pain because the receptacle of my brains are blocked, right? The Percocets. And I can get myself hurt more. I can get myself hurt more. Versus cannabis, it reduced the inflammation and it relieved the pain, but I still know that the pain is there, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Oh, I know exactly. I mean, cannabis actually is working to help the problem, while
Yeah,
you have one that's going to mask your problem. You don't want to mask your problem because that
right.
just it creates more if you're masking it. It's the same idea of treating the symptoms, right? But not actually get to the root problem. It's yeah.
And I do not, I do not want to be jumping around on anything, but talking about masking the problems. Same thing with my mental health medication, right? At one point, I was just totally numb, right? And I
Yep.
only dealt with the problems, when I had to, when I was seeing the psychiatrist, or when I was going to counseling, or whenever I had an episode. On cannabis, I get to deal with my problem in a psychedelic approach, in which it helps me meditate and kind of understand where my brain is going. So I do not get to mask when I'm having a bad day. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
You know,
Yep.
but the one thing I do want to talk about the cons, the impairment of problem solving skills, memory, and balance. I personally don't think I have that issue. I actually become more um, open-minded to problem solving. Like I see it differently. But the one thing I do have issues with, and I mean, I got maybe tens of concussions, but I do have, memory issues. And I wonder if it's because of cannabis. The other part is going to be, the structure of your brain, the way your brain is structured, which is not a bad thing. I don't think so. Again, the way my brain is structured when I was in service, is, kill, 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 kill. All I want to do is kill something. Now I just want to give you a hug. So I think that's a big positive for me. Um, it does talks about risk of heart attacks and chronic cough. I do not know what is the risk of heart attack, but I do want to research that. Okay. Addictive. Can it be addictive? I think anything can be addictive.
Yep.
Kool-Aid can be addictive. Again, it is how you use it and why you're using it. To me, that's my opinion. Being an alcoholic, and being a person that did fell into the trap of Percocets and Oxy, you know, I can tell you that anything can be addictive, but cannabis, I do not feel that I gotta be smoking cannabis every day. If I skip a day because I'm traveling, it's okay.
Hmm.
I don't go through the withdrawals the alcohol gave me, or the Percocet withdrawals. You know, and respiratory weakness. Again, I cannot speak to that, and I do have induced asthma, so I cannot speak much about the respiratory part. But I do want to research the compromised immune system. Um, and that's interesting, actually. I wanted to see more about that.
Hmm.
Um, I do have to say when it comes to that, and I gotta be open to that. Since I started taking cannabis, I stopped taking all my shots. like flu shots, for example. And ever since, I have not gotten the flu. I got everything else but the flu. Um, what are your thoughts there, Mr. Jerry?
Well, speaking from experience, if we kind of go back
Mhm,
through the cons, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I haven't experienced a lot of the cons, but what I can say is, for me, I think that cannabis has improved. Like you said, for me, it's
mhm,
improved my way of thinking. Because right now I'm going back to school, pursuing
mhm.
a degree, and I'm a father of five, raising five kids. Heather homeschools the kids every day, and with that, I have almost a 4.0. Okay, and I
Yeah.
use cannabis. So I want our audience to know that when you look at those cons, there probably are people who experience
Mhm,
those, but but to me, I wonder that not everybody does, and our experience is important. And for me to have nearly a 4.0 at my age, being 43 with
mhm.
five kids, I think that speaks to the testament of cannabis that it can help people. Like there are people out there that it can help. It can improve your life, and it's for everybody, right? It's for everybody, and so it's something that's worth a shot. If some of you out there, if you know consult with your doctor and really think about see if it improve your life. And let's going through some of the cons. As far as that you were saying, risk a heart attack. That one's hard for me because I mean I would like to know more about that because
Mhm.
I feel like I don't have problems or I don't think I do with my heart. Um, but addictive, like you were saying, anything's addictive. I
Mhm.
mean, me drinking coffee can be addictive. It's I think
Yeah.
addiction can be anything. Food can be an addiction. Social media can be an addiction. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things in our lives that can be addictions. Now, weekends, respiratory system, I'd like to know more about that because I'm like you. I have upper respiratory problems. I have
Mhm.
COPD.
I mean, I
And
think about it about this upper respiratory infection. Look where we were at the time where we were. That was the dry, that was the burn pits time.
yeah, there.
Yeah. So yeah, I do want to learn more about this, but I do not want to challenge this yet, especially with the respiratory system. But I have read in some places that the some cannabis, some of the stuff it has in cannabis does help with the lung expansion.
Mm.
Due to the so I do want to research this a little more. Uh, Again, it's 27 minutes. So I don't want to go overboard anymore. But I do have to say, to reinforce what you were saying about education at our age. And I want to say that, I personally, I do have a master's in business. And I did this with cannabis on my side. It helped with my anxiety. It helps me with the focus. I'm ADHD, I think. So I'm really hyper all the time. So cannabis kind of helped me mellow down, right? So, I just don't want, I just want to double down on what you were saying on the education part. It helped me, and I know other veterans that has similar path as we have, you know. So I do want to close real quick, Jerry. Is that cool with you? We're going on 30
Oh,
minutes, so I want to close.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I want to encourage people, to leave comments on our wherever you listen to this, whether it is YouTube, whether it is Facebook, um, anywhere you listen to this, right? And I want this, I want to reach out to make sure our current administration is listening to what our veterans are saying. So comment on our page, um, and if you got some kind of firsthand, um, grab toward the current administration, Donald Trump, Secretary of Defense, I would love to have them in this podcast talking about How can we improve access to veterans?
We can also bring on other veterans as guests and listen to their stories as well.
You
That
know,
would be impactful. If there's veterans out there who are willing to come on, we should encourage them because it would be really cool to hear their testimonies.
and I would love to, man. Let's do this, man. Let's reach out to some of our crews, people that are willing to be open about it, and invite them over. See what happens.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So let's close out. It's been 30 minutes, 24 seconds. Let's close out with this little message, peeps. Let's open our mind to a new approach. You know, my generation, the Iraqi Afghanistan generation, been struggling with opiates and narcotics for years. I think it's time to give us the opportunity to check out a different approach because a lot of us are struggling with military or service-related injuries or illnesses. So that is what I want everybody to take out of this: a new approach, a different option. Thoughts?
Sounds good, my brother.
All right.
Sounds good.
So next week, I'm gonna save this because there's so much here to look into. So I'm gonna keep doing more research and bringing more pages from different hospitals and researchers and share some of the stuff. Maybe what we can do is continue telling our stories. So, with saying that, Jared, have a great night.
You too,
Stay
my brother.
safe and smoke a bowl.
I want to
All
also
right.
thank our audience as well. You all have a great evening. Please listen. Please comment. Let's open up the dialogue. Like you said, keep our minds open. Let's
Um,
try to help our brothers and sisters out there.
yeah. With that, Jared, been coming up with great ideas about merchandise, so we can, help grow the page. Okay, I do not want to make money on this page. I do want the page to grow, so we can help other people.
Right.
Okay, so but in order to do that, we do have to get some revenue coming, to grow the page. So support us, like our page, and keep an eye for upcoming merchandise, cool shirts, maybe some cups coming up. Hopefully, we can get some sponsors. So if you're looking to promote your page, your company, give us a holler. Okay, give us a holler. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, support what we're doing, please. I think it's important. Um, yeah. In saying that, I want to say thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you, Jared, for your time. And I don't know about you, but I'm gonna smoke another joint.
Uh,
Just
I be,
celebrate.
I am too after this, so
All right.
most definitely.
So, I want to say I do not, I believe in keeping politics and religion out of my professional life. But I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say is God bless and God bless everybody listening.
God bless you all. Thank you, my brother.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Peace, love, later.
Peace. Love you all.